In this lesson, we're going to set up our first interactive 3D. So let's test it out. I'm going to hit Alt-P to play. I'm going to walk up to the front door. Front door opens. Walk in. I can look around. I'm going to bump into these chairs. Oh, look, they're physics driven. That means you can knock them over depending on your physics state. When we can walk up to the top of these stairs. And when we do, a light turns on and music starts. And we can stop it. So let's build our own. Well, first I'm going to hit escape. Then I'm going to hit Control N. All right, so we're in our new level and let's build this out. And as we go along, I'll try to explain the steps and some of the possible other choices you could make. So for example, we've got this starting point and we're going to need a little bit more in order to have our house that we're going to build. So we could, we're going to want to texture this. So let's try to put some bricks down, but we thought maybe we could scale this, but you can see the texture is scaling. And until we get to the materials chapter, probably don't know how to tile those UVs. So instead, we want to duplicate this. So we can put that material on and we can just set our snapping to 100. And we'll just hold down the Alt key and duplicate that. I'm going to duplicate both of these at the same time and we'll just Alt and duplicate again. And you want to make sure that you don't have overlapping faces, but setting this to 100 snapping pretty much guarantees that we don't have that. But if you do see flickering ever, then you've probably got some coplanar faces, which is not a good thing. All right, so we've got this set up. Let's add some walls and build out our house. So we'll go into architecture, and I chose a wall 400 by 400, and I also chose the wall door 400 by 400. So let's just drop that in. And we'll also drop in this wall. All right. Let's bring this over. It's going great. We're snapping. You can see though, one thing is that it's actually under the surface a little bit. Bring these up. Then I'll hit Shift End and that snaps to the surface below. Okay, so that's great. So we've got that on there. We can just center it a little bit. And now I'm going to duplicate this wall and by rotating it. And also I'll hold the Alt key and rotate this 90 degrees. Now let's take a look at where we are. Now I'm going to hold down the Alt 2 and just want to see the wireframe, but it's a little bit hard to see. So I'm going to right click, go to visibility, we'll say show only selected, and you can see that there is some overlap going on. So what I'm going to do is I'll change my snapping to 10 and we'll just tweak this one way here and here. Great. And so we can do Control H to unhide everything, and we'll just also hit Alt 4 to go back into lit mode. All right, so we've got that wall set, and we can also just duplicate that now that we've got that there. I'm just drag this down. Actually, as I drag it down, I'm going to hold down the Shift key so that my camera moves with it. Great. Looks like I got it. Let's select these and we will duplicate them. And then we need one more. So we'll just duplicate that into place. All right, great. Looks like it's right on. So now we need like a roof and we also need some stairs. Let's do that. Quickly, we will go in. I think I used a shape for the roof. Used like a pyramid. We drag that up and just scaled it. All right. And I just hit the end key again to snap it. You can make that pyramid roof however you like in terms of sitting it on top there. But I'm just going to try to get it close. All right, so we've got this all pretty much set. Let's put this into a group and we'll call it a house. So I'm going to hold down the Alt, Control Alt, and I'm going to drag, and that allows me to drag a marquee. Now, usually it gets pretty much everything, but sometimes it doesn't. You can see it didn't get the back. Sometimes it also, if we like look again at our wireframe mode, like it got the sky sphere, which is not what we want. So let's just quickly go back. I'm going to go into Alt 4, and we can get as much as we can here, but we'll just hold down the Control key and click those extra pieces that we didn't get. It looks like we've got everything, but we probably also have the sky sphere selected. And we also have the light source selected. So we can either look in here and Control click those, and then just turn those into house. And then you can test to see what you've got, and you can drag things out of that if you've got things that you didn't want. All right, that's a good start. Great. So now let's add the staircase, and that's under props. And we'll drag that in. I'm going to put my snapping back at like 50 here. And we'll rotate that and bring it up and hit the end key just to snap it down. We need to bring the house up, but how much up do we need to bring the house? Well, let's switch our view mode to look at an orthographic view. You can hold down the Alt key. I just hit Alt H, there's Alt J. So H you can see is a front mode. And if I just middle mouse drag, it'll let me see. So right now I've got snapping on, but I'm just gonna like turn off snapping for a second. So this looks like it's about 50 units. It's 47. It's close. So let's turn that back on. And we'll just go back, Alt G, to go back. And we're gonna select the house. So now if I click and drag here, shift drag, now I'm gonna bring this all of these up 50 units. Great. So now we need something underneath there to fill in. So let's just bring in like a piece of geometry, maybe. I think shapes will work. Drag that in. We can scale that down. That is looking about, I just scaled it, I eyeballed it. And since I have snapping on, that's looking pretty good. Great. And I'm just scaling on the Y and the X axis. I'll leave maybe a little porch out the back. So we can nudge that in there. We've got this staircase. All right. This seems like a pretty good place to stop for now. We'll come back and finish this off.